Today, I'm sharing my honest review of DxO PureRAW 4 after 5 months of use. I'll reveal the good and the bad, showing you everything you need to know to achieve the best quality results and whether it's worth your hard-earned money. This isn't a sponsored review. I bought the software myself, and DxO doesn't know I'm making this video. First off, for those who aren't familiar, DxO PureRAW 4 is software designed to enhance the quality of RAW files by removing noise and correcting lens issues, including sharpness. While you can use it as a standalone app, I prefer using it as a Lightroom plugin, and I'll explain why later on. It can deliver amazing results like this if used correctly. But do I trust this software, and is it worth the money? Let's find out. So I've got this leopard image open up in Lightroom, and I use DxO PureRAW 4 on every single photograph I edit. I like to use it even on low ISO images to sharpen details and clean up any lens issues. I especially use PureRAW 4 on high ISO images like this one to mainly remove the noise, but to also sharpen the detail. It's important to understand how DxO PureRAW 4 actually works. If I increase these sliders, for example, when I process this file in DxO, it's actually not looking at the Lightroom edit. It's looking at the file on my hard drive. So it's ignoring all of the Lightroom edits I'm doing. So once you process the image in DxO PureRAW 4, if you have added effects to your image, copy and paste those from the original RAW file to the DNG file that DxO produces. There are two ways to run PureRAW 4 on your images. Once you have it installed, if you go to File, go into Plugin Extras, you will see Preview and Process or Process Instantly. I'll show you what Process Instantly does a little bit later, but I'm going to preview and process this file with DxO PureRAW 4, and that will open the application from within Lightroom. Before I run into the details and review of the software, the best way to judge the software for yourself is to use the free trial that DxO offers. There are links in the description below if you want to try it out. And if you want to buy the software and support this channel, use the link in the description, which allows me to earn a small commission at no extra cost to you. Okay, so we've got the image opened up in PureRAW 4 here. You've got a slider to see the before and after. The best way to see the details up close is to click this one-to-one preview here, and that will bring up the details for you. Again, this is a very high ISO image, so it's very noisy, but you can see on the left-hand side is the original, and on the right-hand side is the processed file. So like I said in the intro, there are goods and bads, and I'm going to show you all of that right now. So at the top here, you've got two processing engines. You've got DPrime and DPrime XD2. DPrime XD2 is the latest version or the new model that they've included, and I always use the DPrime XD2 because I feel like it gives the best results. I won't go and show you results from DPrime. Just trust me that DPrime XD2 does give better results. You can try it out for yourself, but I always use DPrime XD2 by default. So under the models here, you've got a little advanced button. You can click that, and this is where you change some settings. Luminance, you increase that and more of the noise disappears. Let me just go and show you an out of focus area just to show you a little bit easier. You can see there, if I drag that up, the noise literally all disappears, but the image gets very soft. If I go back to a low value, let's say 32, some of the noise comes back, but so does some of the detail on the animal. So it's a very fine line between adding too much noise reduction and getting rid of too much detail, or not having enough noise reduction and having more detail in your image. Generally, on a very high ISO image, I like to go probably at about 70. This ISO on this image was 25,600, I believe. So I use a very, very high luminance value there. Maybe 65 for now. And then what Force Details does, it tries to add back detail onto your subject. Now, I've got limited belief in this slider. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And you can see here, here's a good example. It's added detail in this section, but here it's almost not done anything. So I'm just a bit confused how this is actually looking at the image, and I'm unsure of how to use this Force Details if I can't force the application to add detail into specifically like this area here, for example. It looks very unnatural having sharp detail on the ear and this area being completely avoided when adding detail back. You can see there's another soft area. There's some more detail there, but there's no detail here. Again, there's a patch of detail there, but none over there. So Force Details is very limited in my opinion, and I generally don't add any detail back to the image. Just gives unnatural results. I might, if I'm desperate for detail, increase it to maybe 35 and just accept that it's added only a slight little bit of detail there, but nothing over there. So I'll put that back to 0. So part of what DxO PureRAW 4 does is corrects lens issues. Now that's lens softness, vignetting, chromatic aberration, and lens distortion. I always use lens softness, and I like to use it on soft. I find adding standard and strong and hard, it just makes it a little bit too obvious that it's trying to increase lens sharpness. On a very soft image, you can use the hard or strong, but I tend to use soft by default. I feel like it gives me the best results just to tighten up that sharpness detail just a little bit. For this image, I might go to standard because it was a very noisy image and I've lost a lot of detail. But generally speaking, soft is what I use. Vignetting, let's just zoom out. What that does, it gets rid of any vignetting. You can see that's very minor. I don't tend to get rid of vignetting because I add vignetting back at the end of my processing. So I don't get rid of vignetting at all. Clicking this button gets rid of chromatic aberration. I tend to not use that in this software either. I like to use that in Lightroom. I like to keep this software mainly just for the denoising and the lens softness. But also lens distortion, I don't find that an issue because it makes very small difference. And for wildlife photographs, because your subject is not really on the edge of the frame and becoming distorted by the lens distortion, I leave that off as well. So the output from this original RAW file will be a new raw DNG file. This will include all the raw information that you started with, and with everything that DxO is applying to that raw file, you're able to then move that image into Lightroom and add further enhancements to it. Under destination here, I use the original image folder for this new DNG file. I like the new DNG file to sit next to my original RAW file because I want to keep both of those files in the same place. I don't add a subfolder and I don't add a custom folder here. File renaming, I don't use. Under export, you can open this then into Lightroom or Photoshop. But once you process this image, it gets saved back into Lightroom next to your original file. And then under Lightroom Collection Import, I'm not sure why they've included this, or I'm not sure why they haven't included an option not to create a collection. I always end up deleting this collection once the image is put back into Lightroom, and there's no way to avoid this. So once I'm done, I click Process Now. That's going to process the image and save it into Lightroom next to my original RAW file. I have used Lightroom's AI denoise extensively and this DxO PureRAW 4, and the results from DxO are definitely better. On the screen now is a comparison between Lightroom and DxO, and you can see the difference in detail rendering especially. The noise reduction is about the same, but I like the detail from DxO, and one big plus for PureRAW 4 is the speed at which it can do these edits. Lightroom sometimes, I've heard from a lot of people, takes forever, takes way too long, but DxO is definitely quicker, which I think is a massive plus for the software. Getting through images quickly is definitely a big advantage. I mentioned earlier on how to process instantly with PureRAW 4, and this is an excellent way to save time. If you are very familiar with the software and know the settings that you apply based on the ISO, you can do this very, very quickly. So process instantly with PureRAW 4. It just opens up a dialog box in Lightroom, allowing you to insert the settings that you want to apply to the image. And now, because I'm very familiar with the software, I can quickly just add some settings here. Force detail 0, lens softness, I'm just going to make that soft, and then click apply, go edit, outputs, gives you all those same settings as in the application. The price is $119 for PureRAW 4. I feel like that's very well priced for what you get and the results that you get. It's a lifetime license, no subscription needed, and you do get free updates to that version. So if you buy version 4 currently, you'll get free updates to version 4. If DxO brings out version 5, you will pay a further upgrade fee to the new version, and then for that version, you'll get free updates. So it's very important to know that you're not getting a lifetime license to the whole entire software for future versions. It's only for version 4 with updates to version 4. So do I trust the software for my RAW files? Absolutely. Out of all the RAW enhancing software I've used, this is by far the best and worth every dollar spent. In this video, you'll see DxO PureRAW 4 in action with a full Lightroom edit on this leopard photograph.